Hello everyone, it is Jayden and welcome to The Alpha, the show where we talk about the hottest topics in pop culture and sports. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button on the video, and if you enjoy my commentary and myself truly as always, be sure to tap that subscribe button and to hit that notification bell to get notified when all my videos go live. I love you guys so much. Peace, love, and positivity always, y'all. See ya. Kevin Feige, in a recent interview, was interviewed, so to speak, sorry. I know that's not the right vocabulary and way to put that together. Kevin Feige was pretty much questioned in an interview about what's happened with Marvel, and I had some specific things that I want to talk about out of a whole bunch of the article. And it's actually two separate ones. So the first thing we're going to talk about specifically is we're going to talk about Thunderbolts. We're going to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And last, we're going to talk about some things that he made about Kang the Conqueror. And I have the article here, and sadly, I wasn't able to highlight some of this stuff. All right, here we go. So in the article here, it says, most recently, Thunderbolts, which earned some of the best reviews Marvel's received in years, has only grossed $380 million globally. Feige, and I quote, Thunderbolts, I thought was a very good movie, Feige said. But nobody knew that title, and many of those characters were from a TV show. Some audiences were still feeling that notion of, I guess I had to have seen these other shows to show who this is. If you actually saw the movie, that wouldn't be the case. And we make the movie so that's not the case. But I think we will have to make sure audiences understand that. Mr. Kevin Feige, to that, good sir, I say you're absolutely wrong. Out of that whole bunch from the Thunderbolts, only one of the characters were from a TV show. That character was Mr. John Walker. And I made my lower third here, Kevin Feige gets defensive because he was pretty much getting defensive this whole video. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to call him out for this. Number one, he's wrong about the Thunderbolts being characters from a TV show. Because outside of John Walker, which was on Captain America, the Winter Soldier, the TV show, let's run down the line. Yelena Belova, Black Widow's sister. What movie was she first introduced in? That would be the Black Widow movie that was released in theaters as well as Disney Plus. Although she did and was featured in the Hawkeye series, she was first introduced in Black Widow. Red Guardian. What about Mr. Red Guardian? Oh, well, let me see. He was introduced in, again, the Black Widow movie, which was a movie, not a TV show. Let's transition to another character. Ghost. What movie was she in? She was never in a TV show. Oh, yeah, that's right. She was in a movie. She was in Ant-Man 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Really? Let's go to another character. How about Taskmaster? All right, she was in the Black Widow movie as well. Again, a movie, Kevin Feige, not a TV show. What about the very last member of the Thunderbolts that you can technically say, oh wow, Bucky Barnes? Who the movie should have been about to begin with and made him the leader of the show instead of Yelena? Oh yeah, that's right. Winter Soldier's been around since 2014 when he was first introduced in Captain America and the Winter Soldier. So the only one we have left is Mr. John Walker, which he was introduced in a TV show. So when Kevin Feige blames the reason why Thunderbolts didn't do well in the theaters is because he's trying to point at the fact that a lot of those characters were from a TV show and it was considered homework individuals. No, it was not, Kevin Feige. The characters were not interesting. Yelena, she's not that bad, okay? It's fine, she's fine. Red Guardian, he can be annoying for me personally at times, but overall, he can be considered one of my favorites. John Walker, he was my favorite out of everybody outside of Bucky, because Bucky should have had a more prominent role in the film. But John Walker was my favorite because I loved his attitude, and he was just interesting. He was very charismatic when he was on camera. I enjoyed it. Ghost, Taskmaster, specifically Taskmaster, good riddance. Thank the Lord she died, and she's gone. Ghosts, I get whatever. But at the end of the day, as a whole, when you were branding these individuals as the new Avengers, which is a marketing ploy, to this day, I do not agree with and never understand that you did. That wasn't going to help people go see this movie. It's going to antagonize people because you're trying to relate this team of individuals, the Thunderbolts, who is pretty much the Suicide Squad of Marvel, and you're calling them the new Avengers, when the regular Avengers were individuals such as Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark, Chris Evans' Captain America, Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, Chris Hemsworth's Thor, Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye. That was the original OG Avengers. And every single one of them characters you died over. You would jump out in front of a car over every single one of them characters. Maybe not so for Hawkeye for a lot of people because he was introduced in the first Avengers movie and we got really little things and backstories to really make us want to catapult him and love him as a character. But it's specifically when we got into the next Avengers, the Avengers Age of Ultron, we were able to see a side of him and get a little side story with him and Wanda and show the type of character he really had. But when we watched, and when I left this theater in the Thunderbolts, outside of maybe Red Guardian and maybe Yelena and even John Walker, I could care less for the rest of these characters. And I just say Yelena to this front is just because they've made her the team leader. So what's the point in caring about the Thunderbolts when you just going to take the team leader out of it in the future? Because if I was a leader of Thunderbolts, if I wanted anybody to lead the Thunderbolts, I would have possibly rather had John Walker. But John Walker, bless his soul, he does not have any type of leadership qualities. That's the reason why he could have never been Captain America. Yelena, out of all of them, have the best leadership qualities. So obviously she has to be the leader of the Thunderbolts. But overall, none of the characters was interesting. And finally, I know I'm even in the minority on both of these, every single syllable that I'm uttering right now, but I thought the movie was boring. I remember the film occurred in like 2 areas, the whole film. Maybe even 3. The jail, the place where Yelena goes to get the new guy's Sentry. You have, and it's been so long since I watched the movie. It's been almost 2 months, so I'm trying to remember. You have the old Avengers estate. Do you have New York? Those were pretty much all the settings of the movie. Nothing else really. You had some little scenes here and there at Bucky in the White House and in his apartment. You had that. What else? What else am I missing? Red Guardian's apartment. Outside of that, where else did the movie occur? And then at the end, the little end sequence where they're in their dreams and stuff. Where else did the movie occur? I just told you literally all the settings of the movie and every single scene and where everything was shot. If I'm missing something, just let me know down below in the comments. But that's pretty much where I'm at with that right now at the moment. So that's that. And that was the Thunderbolts. Overall, I think it was boring. It was not interesting. And I had to call them out on a lie. Only one of the characters were from a TV show. Not all of them. All right. Now let's talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Since the massive success of 2018's Black Panther, Marvel has made a concerted effort to produce projects centered around women, people of color, and LGBTQ characters. Those titles include Captain Marvel, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, The Marvels, and Captain America Brave New World in a film, WandaVision, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk's Attorney at Law, Secret Invasion, Echo, Agatha All Along on TV. Several of these projects have been successful, wrong, but many have not. Facts, commercially or critically. And I have to sit here, out of all of these movies, I can really sit here and say, one of these projects are actually a win. Just one. Money-wise, and maybe critic-wise. Shang-Chi. Eternals was not good, forgettable. Don't get me started with the Marvels. It had the worst box office performance in the history of Hollywood. Captain America: Brave New World, disappointment. Even though I fairly enjoyed the movie to a certain degree, but not a lot of people did. WandaVision, I think, is super overrated. That show is forgettable. Miss Marvel, did not watch it. Not a lot of people watched it either. She-Hulk, didn't watch it. A lot of people didn't watch it as well. Let's get a full screen here. Secret Invasion, don't know. Echo, didn't watch. Agatha All Along, did not watch. So when you say several of these projects, that's absolutely false variety. Only really one of these projects you can really say is successful. And maybe add 2 for WandaVision, because I personally just didn't like WandaVision. A lot of people actually liked it to a certain degree. So maybe you could add 2. But factually, all those other projects didn't do well. But I digress. We're moving on. More to the point, with Marvel's decision to dramatically reduce its output, it's been clear what kind of future many of these characters have ever been in the MCU, if any at all. And here is the money kicker. Pressed on this question, Feige appeared unconcerned. Marvel represents the world around outside your window, he said. I've always said it, before diversity, equity, inclusion, and woke became a thing, and after diversity, equity, inclusion, and woke became a thing. Are we after? I really don't know what that's. It's a run-on sentence for me. I've never comprehended the sentence after I've read it multiple times. I don't think so, he said. He singled out Miss Marvel and the Marvel star, Iman Vellani, as one of the greatest bits of castings we've ever done, adding, I can't wait to see her somewhere. Now, Kevin Feige. There's nothing wrong with diversity, equity, and inclusion. Even though a lot of people look at it in a bad light because it's very much forced. And I'm gonna tell Kevin Feige this is forced in this way as well. The problem with diversity, equity, inclusion when it comes to the Marvel Universe, it promotes characters that nobody really cares about. The chick right here in the video, the girl that played in Miss Marvel, Monica Rambeau, I think is her name. Who particularly cares about Monica Rambeau? I'll do another one. She-Hulk. Actor was very divisive. Hard to like her. You had Megan Thee Stallion and her twerking at the end of an episode. In a Marvel universe. In what type of world, in a comic book world, would that happen? I don't know. Iman Vellani. Miss Marvel. Nobody. There's hardly anybody that I know that even likes that character. So whatever. The guy from WandaVision, I guess, is supposed to be Wanda's son, I'm guessing. Some even the comic book nerds might like him, but the general audience doesn't care who he is. And they got the guy who played in Eternals. But overall, something I really wanted to point out that Kevin Feige did say is that he said Marvel represents the world outside your window. And I know this may seem wrong when I say this, but in what way does Marvel represent the world outside my window? Marvel is a fictional universe. And this has been my argument with when it comes to any type of political aspect in the comic books, in the fictional sci-fi world. I want sci-fi. I want something that's not of my world. I just want stories. I want to tell a story about fictional events. I don't want any type of real world aspect in a comic book film. Well, Jayden, you can say that and be a hypocrite because guess what? In the Marvel Universe, they use real world landmarks such as New York, such as Washington, D.C. I fully understand that and I am aware. I'm just speaking from a very personal standpoint. Because I feel like politics and sci-fi do not mix. And I've said this on many, many occasions. I do not believe that politics and comic books and comic book movies need to coexist. Because I'm trying to watch these movies and consume this entertainment and turn off any type of aspect of real world stuff. So when you say Marvel represents the world outside my window, I don't want it to. And it don't. This may sound cheesy, but it's a statement that you can use. Last time I checked, there's nobody with a flying suit of armor outside my window right now. There's nobody that is full of super soldier serum outside my window right now. There's nobody that is currently infused with gamma radiation out of my house right now, outside of my home. There is not a god of thunder traveling via Bifrost and has a hammer called Mjolnir that can control lightning running outside of my window. If they were, I would be scared for my life. Does this sound super childish and over the top to say? No, but I'm just relating that based off what Kevin Feige said. He said Marvel represents the world outside our window. But there you have it. That is the diversity, equity, and inclusion aspect of this conversation. And now we're going to move on. He had some things to say about Kang. Okay, here we go. Kang is kaput, of course, but what about Charlize Theron and the Eternals? In March 2023, a month after Jonathan Majors played the arch-villain Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, the actor was arrested for assault and harassment of his then-girlfriend, Grace Jabari. Kang had been touted as the Thanos of the multiverse saga and was set to headline his own film, Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, which would set up Secret Wars. But the day Majors was convicted on 2 misdemeanor counts of harassment and assault, Marvel announced it was parting ways with the actor the following July. The studio revealed that Robert Downey Jr. was returning to the MCU to play the even arch villain, Doctor Doom, in what had been rechristened as Avengers: Doomsday. But on Friday, Feige revealed that the studio had grown weary of Kang's heft as a character before Quantumania even hit the theaters. And I quote by Kevin Feige, "We have started to realize that Kang wasn't big enough because he wasn't Thanos. And that there was only one character that could be that because he was that in the comics for decades and decades. We started talking about Doctor Doom even before we officially pivoted from Kang. In fact, I had started talking with Robert about this audacious idea before Ant-Man 3 even came out." Ouch for Mr. Jonathan Majors and his character Kang. I really do think that if done right, and I grew up watching Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, I enjoyed Kang as a character. He really hates the Avengers, and it was a good villain to have. Futuristic Tomorrowverse type thing. He knows all the Avengers tactics because he was able to time travel across the future, and he's pretty much seen the Avengers and seen their end. So he knows their moves and how to counteract their moves. Not like Taskmaster to a degree, where he pretty much copies their moves and things of that nature, but he knows the Avengers tactics, and he has countermeasures pretty much like Batman to be able to counteract their attacks. So overall, I thought Kang was an interesting character. And when Jonathan Majors was casted, I was ecstatic about it. But the way that they written him, and I wrote this down, it could be true that they figured out that they were possibly going to pivot away from him because the way they treated him in Ant-Man 3. The Kang the Conqueror I know, he is a god tier level villain. Not as strong as Thanos, but he's up there. And yet he had troubles defeating Ant-Man. Kang, who can single-handedly handle all 6 of the Avengers in a fight, had troubles with Ant-Man and pretty much got beat by Ant-Man. Oh yeah, Kevin Feige definitely must have had the idea of moving on from Kang in the back of his mind. And I think with the situation that happened with Jonathan Majors, that was just the icing on the cake. I don't know. I just digress. It's very disappointing. I'm kind of glad they moved to Doctor Doom, because I love me some Doctor Doom. He is my favorite villain in the Marvel universe outside of Thanos, even though the MCU made me a big fan of Thanos, because I even quote a lot of Thanos' lines as of today. But before Thanos came along in the MCU, Doctor Doom was my guy. He was my biggest favorite villain in the Marvel universe. So moving on to him is a great idea. But it's I hate it for Jonathan Majors. I really do. I think he would have been a great villain if you could have gave him maybe let him be the villain in Secret Wars. Maybe I don't know the Secret Wars comic book by any means. I'm just making an assumption based off what off of the information that I've accumulated with this. I would have loved the way for them to kept him. Maybe you still use Doomsday and use Doctor Doom in that movie, and then maybe move on to Kang. Because who knows what the villain is like in Secret Wars. I have no idea. We're just going to have to wait and see. And this is really the only, this is the end of the Marvel section of the news course. The next two topics that we're going to talk about is part of another article, but I divided them up because there are enough talking points to talk about them separately. What'd you think about this latest Marvel news and the interview that Kevin Feige had to make, and what'd you think about my comments? I want to know all of your comments down below.